Oh, no kidding. We'd be sitting here until 7:30.
Hello and welcome to the school committee meeting for May 12th, 2015. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. Our first item on the agenda is the student advisory report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grace Sleeman, and I am representing Linfield High School tonight as Student Council President. Linfield High School has been continuing to excel in academics, athletics, and extracurricular activities this year. So far this year, Linfield has been doing exceptionally well in academics. We are now deep into fourth quarter and looking to finish the year off on a strong note. AP testing started last Monday and will continue through this week. In addition to AP testing, MCAS will be administered this week for the sophomores. We wish all of the LHS students the best of luck with their testing, and we are confident that they will do well. In addition, LHS ran a wellness week just recently. The week consisted of informational sessions as well as fun activities regarding staying healthy and managing stress. Tables were set up in the lobby each day providing information on a different topic. To add, all of the students saw the play The Yellow Dress about domestic violence. It was a great opportunity to make teens aware of dangerous situations and how to handle them. Additionally, the junior prom will be held this Friday at the Hillview Country Club in North Reading. The prom committee will be holding the post-prom at the high school for a fun and safe night for the students. To add, Linfield spring sports have been doing very well. Girls softball has qualified for playoffs. Both boys and girls lacrosse have been doing well and are hoping to qualify for the tournament in the next 2 weeks. Boys and girls track have their last meet tomorrow and are sending a number of athletes to the state meet. LHS is proud of all of its student athletes, and we wish them luck as they close out their seasons. Also, the school year is coming to a close for the seniors at Linfield High School. The last day of classes for seniors is Friday, May 22nd. The following week is finals. After finals are done, the grade will be participating in Senior Week. If weather permits, the graduation will be held at the LHS Stadium on Friday, June 5th at 6 p.m. After the seniors leave, Student Council will be hosting a field day on May 29th. It will include a walk for charity, a barbecue lunch, and games all around the school. At the end of the day, all the students will gather at the stadium for competitive relay races. This is a great way for the school to get together and show school spirit before students are out for summer vacation. As fourth quarter comes to a close, we encourage students to finish the year on a strong note. Although the end of the year is always a busy and exciting time, it is imperative to stay focused and keep motivated as we approach summer vacation. Thank you for your time.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grace.
The next item on, first, I need to tell everyone that this meeting is being recorded and broadcasted over cable television. Sorry, I neglected that earlier. The second item on the agenda is the minutes from the April 14th and the April 27th meeting. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the minutes. School committee meeting of April 14th, 2015, and April 27th, 2015.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the next item is a glimpse into the classroom. Jane, you wanna talk about that?
So tonight we have members of our physical education and health and wellness from our faculty here with students from the elementary level, from the middle school level, and from the high school level to share with you what they've been doing in their classes. And Mary Robertson, who is one of our instructors at the elementary level at Huckleberry Hill School, is going to start the presentation.
Good evening, and thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. I just want to give you a couple thoughts before we get started tonight as we start to begin looking at wellness. And I'm going to direct your attention to that spirit, mind, body circle up at the top, that as we think about wellness, that those are the arenas that we think of. I love that Grace Lehman was just talking about spirit building activities, because sometimes we think that spirit doesn't belong in schools, but spirit actually drives the body and drives the mind, and those spirit-building activities are so important. So as we're looking at wellness tonight, we are looking at the balance of spirit, mind, and body. A lot of times in schools, we also are thinking about the mind only, but really, when we look at wellness, we know that wellness is a state of balance between the spirit, mind, and body that enables a person to work at their optimal level in order to reach their fullest potential. And one connection that we would really like for everybody to notice is the mission statement of the Lynnfield Public Schools. Because the mission statement says that the mission of the Lynnfield Public Schools is to support and challenge all students to meet their full potential as individuals and as citizens of the global community. So it helps us start to understand where wellness fits into the school curriculum. Actually, if I could back up, can I back up one thing, Michelle? See how technology savvy you are. One thing that I did want to point out, the most important thing on that spirit, mind, body triangle is not the triangle, it's the circle. Because the circle tells us we've got to get a balance, and it reminds us that if we spend too much time on only the mind and not the body, and the body starts to break down, it affects the mind. So we're trying to get people to start to see wellness as a balance of the three. So this, my friends Dan and Maggie, we are giving you a glimpse into the elementary wellness classroom tonight. The teachers for the elementary level, we have Craig Stone with us, Stephanie Conrad Hamer, and myself. And on my student presenters, I have Maggie Reardon. I'm very happy to have my friends with me, and Dan McSweeney. They are both fourth graders at the Huckleberry Hill School. The standard that we're looking at tonight, there are many standards that we look at in wellness, but the one that we are looking at from elementary up through the high school is that the physically literate individual demonstrates the knowledge and skills to achieve and maintain a health-enhancing level of physical activity and fitness, which is a little different from what you and I probably did when we were kids, because we did physical fitness. And I just want to draw your attention to the difference there. Physical fitness tends to be a sport-related skill. Health-related fitness is what are the things that I need to be able to do in order to maintain a healthy body. The health fitness components that you're going to see tonight are related to muscle strength, flexibility, and aerobic fitness or cardio. And now I'm going to turn the program over to my friends.
We have two classrooms. One is the gym and one is the field. We don't use papers and chairs. We use our mind and bodies.
That is tunnel tag, when one person is in a tunnel using their muscle strength and someone goes under. That's the rock wall when they go across the rock wall and go to the other end. That's the pull-up bar when you pull up.
Right here is the push-up man where we learn how to do a push-up accurately. Over there is inversion where it's a warm-up where we put our body weight on our hands and arms, not our feet. And on the bottom is our push-up, and not push-up, sit-up thing, where we learn how to do a sit-up correctly.
That's the reverse plank, when someone goes into a reverse plank and someone jumps over them. That's the rail yard fitness, when you can either do a bear walk across holding your body weight, or you can go under and you're still holding your body weight.
This is flexibility. That is the flexibility sit and reach box where we can measure our how flexible we are. That is a way how we can. That is a back bend where we go across on the rail yard fitness, and that's a warm up that we have where we bend over, put our arms on the wall, and we try not to bend all the way down.
That's another warm-up, when we put the bottom of our feet together, and that's when we try to make shapes or numbers by stretching.
This is aerobic fitness, also known as cardio. Over here is jump roping, and over there is heart rate monitors where we see how fast our heart rate is. And 3 ways to know that we're doing cardio is our heart rate is faster, our breathing is faster, and our temperature goes up.
That's snowshoeing, when we put on snowshoes in the winter and go through the woods, and it's a good cardio exercise in the winter.
This is orienteering. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt where we use maps. It's cardio because we run around from place to place and we punch a hole in our punching piece of paper. And this year our clues were for nutrition.
That's the Tally Olympics. It's a 3rd grade field trip when we go to the middle school track and do running activities. That's the Special Olympics where some friends go from Huckleberry. And that's the fun run celebrating health and wellness where some high school kids bring us a mile around in the neighborhood and then we come back.
This is a fitness gram where we see how our bodies are getting better and more fit.
And actually, this is our final slide here, and just so you know, students receive these in the mail, and this is the assessment that we use, and it's the feedback they get for their muscle strength, their flexibility, and their cardio. And you can see this belongs to a 4th grader. In fact, this one belongs to Maggie, and she was brave enough for us to share it. But you can see there are 2 black bars for each category because they do this in 3rd and 4th grade, so it allows them to see how was I doing in 3rd grade and how have I progressed on into 4th grade. And I think we're ready to pass the show on to Sherry Weeks for the middle school.
Very well done. That was exciting. It sounds like a lot of fun activities being taken place down at the elementary school. Thank you. My name is Sherry Weeks. I am very honored to be here to show all about our wellness program at Linfield Middle School. I would like to begin by introducing my extraordinary colleagues that I work with at LMS. First, Miss Elisa Burns. This is Mrs. Burns. She's been a physical education teacher at Linfield Middle School for 25 years, so she's devoted her entire career to the health and well-being of the Linfield youth. Next to her is Mr. Ashawn Roach, and he as well is our physical education teacher, and he's also a former athletic director at in Linfield and the athletic trainer. So you see that wellness is a lifelong passion for both of them as well as for myself. My name again is Sherry Weeks. This is my 18th year here in Linfield. We're thrilled to introduce our wellness program this evening, and through the eyes of our 2 talented and smart young ladies. This is Emma and Haley Perlamo. As you may or may not be aware, we actually have a new program at Linfield Middle School. It is our pilot year program as we are developing our curriculum. We've had some fantastic changes. We've also had some growing pains, and our proudest achievement is the one that we're going to share with you today through our classroom experience, and that is the NASP Standard 3 and the Massachusetts Health Curriculum Framework Standard 2. So this is what Haley and Emma will go into with you tonight, and please feel free to ask any questions or give any comments as we go through. Are you ready, ladies? We've practiced. Okay, here we go.
So in the beginning of the year, the teachers introduced a top-down web with the components, and it helped us understand what activities we were doing throughout the year.
Each day we do the same warm-up activities that are related to our testing areas. We do jumping jacks for cardiorespiratory endurance to get our heart rates up. We do the sit and reach to practice for the flexibility test.
These pictures show muscular strength and muscular endurance activities for the fitness gram testing and help us prepare for the testing.
The test areas for cardiorespiratory endurance are the mile and pacer. We also get to use the heart rate monitors that show if we are working hard enough or if we need to go a little faster.
It's really interesting and cool using the heart rate monitors because it tells you if your heart rate is too high and you need to take it easy to be able to recover, or if your heart rate is too low and you need to work harder and faster. Those were some examples of physical activities that we do with Mrs. Weeks, Mr. Roach, and Mrs. Burns.
So now they're going to go through and share a little bit about how our wellness program works. What they do in the gymnasium, we look at that as our laboratory setting, and then so that's their movement piece. And then what we do in the health classroom when the children come to see me is we go over the information in the classroom. So we get to go a little bit more in depth, and they get an opportunity to be able to set some fitness goals for themselves from the fall into the spring. So they're going to actually show you some examples of how we do that in the classroom setting and the information that they have that they carry with them in their binders.
So these are our wellness binders, and we keep all of our testing and classwork papers to look back to see what goals we achieved and what goals we still need to achieve. So the first piece of paper is the example of the top-down web, and it was a PE test. And then the second sheet is the FitnessGram goal setting sheet, where we set goals for ourselves.
The cool part is what we do in the gym, we get to talk about in the classroom during health class. As part of the health class, we look at what is considered a healthy fitness zone, so we can set fitness goals and try to achieve these goals in the spring. The second piece of paper on this slide is the PACER score sheet. The Health and the Wellness program helps us to understand our body and what is healthy for our body.
It also shows us physical activities that we can do to keep our body healthy and strong. Thank you.
Thanks, girls.
Good job. Sherry, can I have you just wait for 1 second and make sure, does anyone have any questions or comments?
I have a question. I'm not sure if it's for Sherry actually or for Jane. I know that we've gone through a cycle of working on looking at the health and wellness curriculum this year. So at some point, will we get sort of a recap of what has gone on?
Yes, we certainly can do that, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we welcome any questions or concerns, and we always have an open gymnasium and an open classroom. If you'd ever like to come in and take a tour, we welcome that. We had, as you heard Grace just describe the wellness week at the high school, we had the similar type of activity at our middle school too. So please feel free to come and join us at any time.
This seems like a glimpse, which looks like some really great things. So it'd be nice to have like the full picture of how things have evolved and progressed as you've looked at the curriculum.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. I am Michelle Perone. I am one of the PE health teachers at the high school, along with my colleague Neil Weidman, who also teaches PE and health. We have with us today senior Allison Lyle, who will be leaving us this year for bigger and better things. She's heading to UMass Amherst with intents on being a nurse, so she's in their nursing program, and we wish her well. We have junior Danny Braunschweig with us today, too, who is going to be able to, both of them are going to be able to touch base on a little bit what we do in the high school in regards to physical activity and physical fitness, grade 9 through grade 12.
All right. So grade 9 and 10, there's a few things that they go over, like the introduction to yoga and the Presidential Physical Fitness Challenge. Yoga, there's beginning yoga. So I remember doing that. We went to the gym and they put a yoga video up on the wall, and we followed the instructions and tended to get more flexible, or achieved what we were set out to achieve. And Presidential Physical Fitness Challenge, I know we started before high school, but once we got to high school, I remember they focused on this. So they did twice freshman year and once sophomore year, and that stresses cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, upper body strength, core strength, and agility. So there's a number of different things that you do to test those things and see how well you compare with other people across the country on like the top level. So for the Presidential Physical Fitness Test going on, why is knowing your fitness skill level important? So muscle endurance, like I mentioned on the last slide, we do push-ups and pull-ups, and you try to, each age level has a different number of push-ups or pull-ups that they have to reach in Push-ups, it's in a row. Same with pull-ups. So, and that's like the presidential level that was set for the country. And so that's the muscle endurance. The agility, we do the shuttle run, which is running back and forth across the gym, and it's timed. And again, you try to reach a time depending on your age group. The core strength is curl-ups and sit-ups, which is also timed. You have to see how many you can do in 1 minute. Flexibility, like the other grade levels in other schools mentioned, is the sit and reach. And that measures how far you can sit down and reach forward. And then there's the cardiovascular endurance, which is the mile run, which we do inside, in front of the high school, around the island in front of the high school. So that is the curl-ups being done. So there's spotters who are looking up at the clock for the 1 minute, and everybody else tries to do as many as they can.
Push-ups in the background.
Push-ups in the back.
Sorry. That's all right. We oh.
Okay.
I don't think
You
so.
can go, if you put the arrow down the left-hand corner, you're good?
Yeah, and they're
Okay.
doing push-ups in the back too.
Good?
Yeah.
So for grade 11 and 12, there's fitness-based electives. You have the choice of fitness and rec, fitness for women, or fitness for men. Fitness for recreation, we begin in intermediate yoga, so that's for flexibility and stress reduction, which is a especially good thing for high school students. And we also do strength training, so we go to the workout room in the high school, and we use the machines there to increase the strength and look at our changes over time. We also do the Presidential Physical Fitness Challenge for grade 11 and 12. And there's also boot camp, which is a combination of strength training and cardiovascular exercises. And then we have fitness for women, which is new this year. There's yoga, which is intermediate to advanced with flexibility testing and stress reduction. And I thought that was a really good thing for high school students, just because we do have so much stress from school, and it's a good way to learn how to reduce that. And also strength training and circuit training with a fitness journal or log, so you get to see how your wellness is increasing over time. And Zumba is beginner to intermediate, and it's your cardiovascular endurance, so it gets you moving, and it's a good experience to learn new workouts. And that is an example of yoga. And this is yoga flexibility testing. So as we did yoga, this is mine, we would measure our V-sit, calf muscles, and shoulder and back scratch. So it's ways to test your flexibility. And as we would do before, in the middle of our yoga, and then at the end. So it shows the increase of flexibility and over time. And that's an example of strength training. And then during the strength training, we also did a similar thing to what we did for yoga. It was a fitness journal. So you got to create different types of ways to write your personal fitness diary, pretty much. And so you'd be able to see, again, the increase in training. And then Zumba, the fitness benefits, it's a total body workout combining not only cardio, but also muscle conditioning, balance, and flexibility with a Latin flair, and it's a lot of fun.
So men's fitness is also new this year, and it is a class that I was enrolled in the first semester of this school year. So that is a friend of mine, Drew McCarthy, doing one of the workouts that is in our regular day. It's a TRX row hold. So similar to what they did in yoga, we'd have our weights written down. We'd have 2 different workout days. We actually had 3, and we swapped them depending after 4 weeks went by. So this would have everything you need to do in the sets. So snatch, you do three sets of 5, and you write it down for week 1, and then the next time we did this particular workout, we write it in week 2, and you get to track how much muscle you gained, or how much, weight, strength you gained, yes. So this is our day 1 workout, and it's useful because you get to look back and actually see your progress.
What's significant about this and then these 2 together?
Right, so they have different circuits, and it's a way, not everybody's doing the snatch at once, so there's the availability of the equipment. So maybe if there's 15 students in a class, 5 will be doing the first circuit, 5 will be doing the second, and 5 will be doing the third. And that way the weight room or the workout room is evenly distributed. And then on top of that, we would do a cardio exercise, so this one, it would be also strength, so it'd be a circuit of push-ups, sit-ups, squats, and different types of squats and lunges, and we do those all together in the gym.
If you do those consecutively, it's good.
Yeah, it's, so these are some examples. So right here we have somebody doing the RDL, which is taking the weight and going down and bringing it back up. And that is the bench, the barbell bench. And we have a clean there into the front squat.
Good.
So the day 2 workout is just different lifts.
Yeah, it was just
Works
different
the
lifts
same.
for the day 2 workout, and so actually, I'll just show you this student. So this is an example of a student that turned it in on Google Classroom.
This may have been mine.
So this is the day 2 workout, but just filled out.
Yeah, this was one of the more difficult ones because we had to do the clean front squat and then go into the bench, which were 2 heavier lifts. But
Thank you.
Excellent.
So, okay, so now what I would love to have happen, if I can have a representative from a faculty representative from each of the, one from the elementary school, one from the middle school, and one from the high school, to answer any questions that we might have, if you'd like to come to the table and have a seat.
I'll move down for you,
Okay, any questions? I'd like to start. Any? No?
I think I asked my question.
Can I just say one thing? I'd like to thank this department for really putting an emphasis on health and wellness. I know that we've had conversations about it when I was in the classroom and also as an elementary school principal. And I think that in this current day and age, when we're talking so much about keeping our young students healthy, socially, emotionally, and academically, I think that the PE and the Health and Wellness Department are certainly doing their part in this, in getting them to really think about it's not just about physical education, playing games in the gym. It's about a whole body and mind health and wellness. So I would like to compliment the department for really taking the lead and going forward with that. I think it's important for our students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Maggie and Daniel and Allison and Danny and Emma and Haley for coming, spending some time with us tonight and showing us what you do in the school. Appreciate it. You guys did a great job.
Good job.
Great job.
Great job.
Yeah, I
We're very proud of them.
Go ahead, Jamie.
No, I was going to say, I mean, we've been doing these all year, these glimpses into the classroom. I think this is one of the most insightful ones, only because I think it's one of the things we know least about. You know, we assume things are going on, and I think what I appreciate about this is just hearing from, especially at the high school level, some of the challenges, especially with you know, stress reduction and all the pressure that's being put on that. So to make that connection, I think is really important. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's fine. Yep, that's great. Thank you.
In the spirit of one step forward, one step back, before Jen goes,
Oh, was it the wrong day?
7th meeting. Because it lists Mr. Barrett instead of Mr. Doyle as president.
Thank you.
What's that either? I didn't notice that.
Just do them the next meeting.
Okay.
It's just a technical change.
And then just close it and just move it to the side. Other than that.
No one's going to protest, right?
And if you can just move it to the side so
It's
everyone
like
can see.
a grammatical spelling change.
Maybe that way,
Right,
forward, like
right.
in front of Maya.
It's the French.
Okay, next on the agenda is Mrs. Jen Tobias and her first year.
Right, so Jen is She's coming to the end of her first year of principal at Summer Street Elementary School, and she would like to share with you, much like my entry plan of going on a fact-finding mission and finding out what the trends and themes are, she would like to share with you some of the things that she has discovered throughout the past months as the leader of Summer Street School, and what some of her thoughts are in terms of moving the school forward. So Jennifer?
Thank you. So first I'd like to say thank you for inviting me here this evening. So I'm excited to share what I've been going through this process for the past, I'd say, like 2 to 3 months. It started in the beginning once I found that I was appointed to the position at the end of last year. But I really spent the year spending my time getting to know the faculty and the staff in a different way, different from the lens of a teacher now in this being in this role. So the purpose here is for me to share my transition from the role of the teacher to the role of the principal at Summer Street School. I began the transition process really towards the end of the 2013-14 school year when I was officially appointed. Jane really took the initiative and said to me, I want you, because we were in a position where she was still the principal, I was in the building with her, and she really was great in saying, what I'd like you to do is feel comfortable to come to anything from here on to the end of the school year. So I was involved in the process of the kindergarten placement. I was involved in the rest of placement decisions for the end of the school year, hiring of staff. I was in on conversations about everything because she said, I need to make decisions that are going to impact you in the upcoming year, and I want you to be part of it. So we met several times throughout the end of that year and into the summer to kind of have that whole transition piece of it. And then the early part of the school year, Jane and I, she open door policy, come to me, call me, whatever you need. And we spent a lot of time crafting my professional practice goal. And I was trying to be lofty, like I'm going to try to do all these things in the first year. And she said, your job is really, you need to know what you don't know about this principalship. And that really helped to frame my focus for the year. So I did put in the document my professional practice goal, which is to understand the scope of the principalship. And then I also have the student improvement goal, which a big initiative this year was the teacher evaluation tool, because the entire staff and faculty were being evaluated using this tool, and we were all learning this year. We were unpacking the rubric and learning the standards and the expectations. So my student improvement goal was, because if I can give fair, effective classroom evaluations for teachers, this will then in part help the children. I also worked with the constituency groups and conversations. I engaged people to help clarify my perceptions of Summer Street School and understand what their concerns were, what they felt were successes and challenges as well. And then I'm going to share these steps and my findings with you. So once school ended, then I jumped right in. So July 1 came along, and we had a series, Jane and I set up a series of meetings, and she met with me, and our focuses of the conversations really were on the challenges and demands that were an integral part of the principalship and all the complexities that come along with that. At the end of the June is when we had the entire administrative leadership team, as well with a bunch of teacher reps from each different grade levels from each of the schools come, and we had a 3-day training on the teacher evaluation tool. And that was great because we focused on the standards. We talked about having consistency when evaluating so that everybody was on the same page, both staff and administration. Then in August, we had a great administrative leadership team. We had a 2-day retreat. And the purpose of the retreat was really to redefine the roles, because now we had Jane as superintendent, and then we had myself as a principal. And we had to figure out how we were going to function together as a team. So all of that, plus we're trying to learn, what I need to have prepared for the first day of school. So even before the kids were to come, there was a ton of communication. So we had a lot of meetings on that so that I'd have a better insight into the inner workings of the school. And knew what the expectations were. And then I also did a document review too. And I took everything from the school improvement plan at Summer Street to the teacher contract to the handbook, school budget. Dave, that was totally new to me, dealing with the school budget. But I took a look at that from a different perspective. I looked through the handbook. I've been on 4 contract negotiations with the teacher contract. And I can honestly say I don't think I've ever read it cover to cover in its entirety. So I had the opportunity to do that. And then also taking a look at Jane's superintendent superintendent her entry plan and her goals, what she was showing us for her entry plan for the year for October, and then reviewing it in April. And once the summer had passed, very quickly, it was time to open up school. And I was ready for the logistical side of things, but I also needed to make sure that I was prepared for the onslaught of what the school year was going to bring. Bearing that in mind, I pre-scheduled meetings that I knew were going to help my professional practice. So I had set up meetings. I have a mentor that I work with that Jane actually worked with when she was on the MESPA, and met with him before school started. His name is Kurt Downing, and he's the principal of the Brown School in Natick, and he currently sits on the MESPA board. I have those meetings planned every month, and it's great because he is a sounding board for me to kind of say, these are the challenges I'm dealing with, these are successes I'm dealing with. If I give him, say, here's a scenario, what do you think I should do? He gives me great insight and feedback. So I made sure I had those planned in the school year, because as the calendar can get quickly filled and you push things off and push things off, this is a great opportunity for me to do that. So I put the monthly meetings in with Kurt. I also am part of the North Shore Principals group, and I was able to meet with principals who were basically within the first 5 years of their job, their leadership job. And we have a wonderful leader, Paul Garrett. He's been actually in Reading for over 30 years experience as a principal. He's won Principal of the Year. He's part of MESPA as well. He's wonderful. He every month will email us and say, let us know what you want to talk about. And it's a great place where what they say is, this is whatever goes on here doesn't leave these walls. You have to feel comfortable that you can talk about experiences and things. We also have monthly meetings with Jane, and she does this as a means of checking in and sharing challenges that are unique to me at Summer Street School. I also participate in the biweekly administrative leadership team meetings, and that has been great because it helps me understand the district from different perspectives. So I get to see it from a middle school perspective, from a high school perspective, and also seeing it from the other angle, from what is going on at the other elementary school where Ryan is. And I also communicate with the PTO. I have quarterly meetings with the PTO presidents, and then I attend the PTO meetings at night. Communication is paramount, of course. You need to communicate all the time. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges, as I realized, is when I have to communicate, I really have to think about who I'm communicating to and kind of the order in which I do it. Because if I this person before I should have talked to the 3 people before, it creates more of a mess. So I really try to communicate as consistently as I can. I have the monthly newsletters that are sent out, that I have my little blurb in there, connected messages whenever we have something. I try to send out in the beginning of the month, alerting parents as reminders. Wednesday's a half-day early release day for professional development. I'm trying Twitter. I put it. I'm on there, and I'll tweet some things. So I'm giving that a whirl. But I've detailed in my report the many ways in which I am trying to communicate, and I understand the value of how important effective communication is with all the stakeholders, all the way from communicating with the students to communicating with the superintendent. I've also found out that I also have the professional membership in organizations. It provides me access to workshops, to literature, to blogs, to books, to websites to enhance my professional growth. I have membership, for example, in the Massachusetts Elementary School Principals Association, which is MESPA, and it's provided me an opportunity this has given me this has given me the opportunity to network with the other principals, and also to be part of that support group that meets monthly. And I'm also trying to attend conferences that are going to help support my leadership role. So I attended the leadership conference and seminar at Holy Cross, sponsored by the Mass Association of School Superintendents. Jane invited me to the North Shore Superintendents Roundtable Luncheon, where we had a great guest speaker, Andy Hargraves, which was the author of Uplifting Leadership. And then we have the big spring, the annual MESPA conference down on the Cape. And the itinerary has this great lineup of professionals throughout the 3-day event that I'm really looking forward to attending. So aside from concentrating what I need to accomplish while in my new role, I also wanted to reach out to the Summer Street community and gain a clear understanding of the values and the perceptions of the school. So I thought it'd be best if I met with groups of people over a period of time. I tried to do it over about a month and a half and have conversations with them regarding several themes. And the themes I try to highlight were the culture of the school, successes, challenges, what motivates people, and the expectations that they had from their principal. And then what I did is I took those collection of ideas and I really detailed them in my report. So I just kind of highlighted, what I'll do is highlight for you the 5 main themes and basically what I thought to deem the important things from each of those main ideas. So in terms of the school culture, Essentially, people felt that the culture of Summer Street School was nurturing, professional, and well-respected. They also said that the major stressor in the environment was the pressure to be able to maintain and improve upon the high level of excellence for all students. Some of the successes were the majority of those interviewed expressed the high degree of parent trust when it comes to educating their children. And it was interesting because when I talked to the parents, they said the same thing. And then when I looked back on, we asked parents to give their input for student placement. What type of teacher you think would be best? Give us some input. The majority of the letters said, I trust my student's teacher to give the best placement for my child the next year. And that was really common. So actually when I gave the teachers, because we started placement is like a 5-stage process. So I gave the teachers the first go at it, and I said, I just want you to know, this is some of the things that some of the parents had said. I really didn't have a lot of comments that I had to share with the teachers, because a lot of feedback, I had a stack of papers for each grade level like this, but a lot of the feedback for the parents were, I trust the teacher. My teacher knows what my child needs. So I thought that was really great. Some of the other successes was that there's a great reputation that Summer Street School has earned over the past several years, and that the trust, respect, and collaboration among the faculty members was prevalent in many of these discussions. Some of the challenges, and a big thing is always time, and there was the subject of time was a big trend and appeared to be a contributing factor to some of the difficulties that the teachers face. Maximizing the expertise of the specialists and including them with a greater presence in the day-to-day curriculum, as well as meeting the diverse needs of the student population in abundance of ways, socially, emotionally, academically, and behaviorally. The motivation for some were that the teachers, for primary motivator were that the students. Right off the bat, the teachers were like, the students are motivating for me, and that they want to have a positive, lasting impact in their lives as educators. That taking the opportunity to reflect on one's practice was another major theme, in addition to using the reflection to enhance one's professional practice. A lot of that came through when we were talking about the new teacher evaluation tool, because as you do a walkthrough on a teacher, you give them an opportunity to reflect, so they can reflect in writing. And in the past, the old teacher evaluation tool was basically to sit down, you had a discussion, but unless you disagreed with something that was on the evaluation, you really didn't write a reflection back to your evaluator. And so the walkthroughs give you an opportunity to actually, I kind of put my 2 cents in, this is what I suggest, this is what I observe, or I'll ask questions, and they actually get to respond in writing, and then we have a conversation about it as well. And they thought motivation, too, was being viewed as professional, and being respected was also a major motivator to many. And the expectations of the principal basically was a person who was going to be fair, realistic, consistent, and supportive, easily approachable to the parents, staff, and students, the willingness to listen to what people have to say, and to develop teachers in their professional practice so that they continue to grow, and also someone that they can learn from. So by going through this process, it helped me tremendously, both personally and professionally, and it presented me the opportunity to reflect on the past year and have meaningful conversations with everyone and members of the Summer Street School community. And so I have a clear understanding of what's valued and some of the challenges that we face as a district and what's expected of me now as the leader of Summer Street School. So after thinking about all that, I had to think, okay, what do I want to really focus on, and what should be my takeaway from all of this? And I kind of came up with 4 areas that I really like to focus on starting now, because we're starting the discussions about next year and what we're going to change and implement. The 4 areas that I thought about were providing the greater clarity in the roles and responsibilities of the staff, and really thinking about, okay, we're putting programs in place for special education. We're shifting teachers to new positions and new grade levels they're being taught. We are having different expectations based on the population of our students and what the needs are. So I think having that clarity and not assuming that someone's in a role and that they know what the job is. Increasing the cross-grade level pollination. We have great teams that work together. So the first grade team, great, they function great together, they communicate, but allowing first and second grade to talk to each other so they know, okay, when the kids leave first grade, this is the expectation for second. They know it, but they haven't seen it in action, they haven't lived it. So I'd love to be able for the grade levels to kind of do visits with each other and have those professional conversations. Fostering the teacher leadership roles is huge. I noticed that this year when we were doing a lot of technology training, I had 5 or 6 teachers that stepped up to the plate every single time. And they took the initiative to say, Jen, I'll take a small group of professionals and I'll work with them and I'll show them how to do whatever it is that they need. And I think that's really great, because we want to try to build as much capacity within the building as we can and be able to use those teachers in leadership roles, and it really makes everyone rise to the occasion. And then the last thing was improving the quality and quantity of the instructional practice conversations and really making our assessment meetings. We actually had a meeting today talking about our assessment meetings and making them even more meaningful, where we're spending a little more time talking about our instructional practices and what's going to help all learners. So those were the big takeaway areas. And by focusing on those 4 areas, it really impacts the social, emotional, and academic development of all children. So together with the faculty, I'm going to work on really kind of fine-tuning this and seeing what we can do to implement this next year. And it won't be done in 1 year. It'll take a period of time. But I think that if those 4 big areas are addressed and we work towards that will really make an impact. This information, along with district goals and everything, which will be shared later this year, will help to informally guide my day-to-day operations. And additionally, it's going to drive the development of the school improvement plan and everything else that goes with it. Professional development for the schools, impact on my professional goals and my professional practice and my student goal. So before I conclude, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank actually Jane Tremblay, Brian Bemis, and the rest of the administrative leadership team for their support this past year. It's been wonderful to work with a great, talented group of individuals. Additionally, I'd like to thank, we have the office staff, Karen Roberto and Lori Murphy, who have been phenomenal, and as well as the faculty and staff at Summer Street School. They have been instrumental in making my transition process smooth, and I'm really appreciative for that. And I'd like to thank the school committee, too, for taking the time this evening to listen to my presentation, as well as meeting with me. And anything, if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Thank you.
Some questions? I'd like to start.
I was trying to catch and see if Tim had any questions.
Want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jen, I had just a couple. I saw one theme in here that it wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was overly prominent, but it was definitely prominent. And
Yes.
you referenced pressure a couple times.
Yes.
Sometimes to the detriment of the staff. I think there was another buzzword: realistic expectations, high level of excellence. I guess the question I have, and then it's maybe more of a comment, is does the staff feel like there's too much pressure to perform consistently and at a high level? Do they think that the expectations, because of their prior achievements, are unrealistic? And then what are your thoughts on their feelings, and how would you address it? And do you think that we have to relax the expectations? So that's a whole host of stuff.
It is.
So good luck.
It's a lot. It was interesting because as I was getting feedback from people, that is the common theme. I mean, I can't sugarcoat it and say that it's any different. And if I said anything different, then I would be lying. But that is a main concern when you think about where you are in terms of when you're number 1 in the state in ELA. People say we can only go down, and that becomes a stressor. And I think part of the stressor is. And what the staff will say to me is, we're hard on ourselves. They know it's not coming from anything I've said or anything Jane has said in the past about you have to be number 1. It's all about being number 1 and such. But I think the staff has such high expectations of themselves that they then look back and say, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're very worried about time on learning. We're very concerned about, having these snow days. Most people would say, this is great, we've had these snow days. A lot of people are saying, gosh, that puts me back. And now, these 6 days at the end of June aren't going to be helping me. I need this time in January and February. So I think it's the professionals who they are. I don't think we need to lessen the expectations. I think we just need to find a way, and I think it's more working collaboratively, working as a team, that we can still maintain that high level. But that's something that this year was really clear to me. And I said, yeah, I think people are stressed out about that. And it's something that I'm well aware of and that we're going to work on. And people, like I said, people will own it too. They'll say, I know, put a lot of pressure on myself, but I want these kids to do well. And it's all about the kids. It's not about them looking good, it's about the kids, and they want to make sure that the kids are really successful. So that's something that we talked about. I don't think, I'm always afraid to say, you don't want to lessen those expectations. Like when you're working with kids, you want to raise that bar because you know that they can reach that bar. But I want teachers to be able to reflect on their practice and say, like, what I'm doing is okay. And I think that people are afraid that if they acknowledge that what they're doing is good, that they're going to stop. And I think that that's, you know, so, you know, it is a big thing. And it's something that we're going to continue to work on and address. But
All right. I just want to follow up. Jane, did you have the same experience when you were down there?
Yeah, it's absolutely, I mean, without a question of doubt, it's always the fine juggling act of keeping the expectations high, but telling the teachers, you need to relax a little bit. And I remember when I first went to summer school, and you've heard me say this a million times in front of school committee, they were so worried about the MCAS scores that I would say we stop worrying about that and really think about, is our curriculum really aligned to the frameworks, and our instructional practices pristine, followed by pristine assessment practices. You don't really have to worry about the MCAS scores if all of those things are intact. And so it is a fine juggling act because you never want to lower the expectations, but you have to tell people to breathe and to relax, and that there will always be this sort of bubble of going up a little and down a little. And the way that I used to look at it when I was the principal, as long as that stayed within 2, 3, 4, 5 points, we were fine, right? But it's hard. I mean, we talk about it in this district. We say that we attract people who are dedicated, who are determined, who have grit, who care desperately about the kids that they're privileged to serve. And with that also comes that high price and high accountability that people keep on themselves. And people who don't have that don't stay here, because they can't keep up with all of the other professionals that have that. So, and I would venture to say, just as a little footnote here, after me spending time in all of the schools this year, it's not just unique to Summer Street. I am seeing pockets of that all over the district. And so we are a high-performing district, and people know, the faculty, the teachers, the administration know that the people in this town take their education seriously, and nobody wants to let anybody down, especially the kids.
I guess just my only follow-up to that is that pressure sometimes isn't necessarily bad.
Right.
You know, so I know it's a juggling act, but I mean, I think, as Jane said, the town expects it. I know this board expects it. And it's not, you know, don't relax to the detriment of performance. And that is, that's part of being an administrator, and God bless you trying to figure that out. But, but you know, it's still there, and it's still going to come from us. And I think the expectation is still going to come from the town. So
Right.
good luck with that.
You can still have high expectations, and you can have that bar high, but you also have to be reasonable about it too. So every year we have the conversation. The teachers will have the group, and they'll say, I don't know how I'm going to get them from here to here, and they'll worry and they get them there. And we always say, you're going to get them there, because it's not what you're doing is, as Jane said, you're putting in the right practices. So when we're talking about MCAS, we're not MCAS prepping kids. We're teaching kids great strategies that they're using throughout every curriculum area and across the board from 3rd and 4th grade. And so they have to put faith in that. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, I think, and trusting your colleagues, that when that child comes from 2nd to 3rd grade, trusting the 2nd grade teacher, they've done their jobs, that when they go to 3rd, they're prepared. And I think that's all still a work in progress. So it's a lot of trust, and I think a lot of it will come when people are able to see, oh, I know that they're teaching that in 2nd grade. That's what I was able to do when I was language-based. I was in 3rd, and I was in a 4th grade class. So 4th grade would say, are you sure they taught this in 3rd? And I'd say, yeah, they did, because I witnessed it. I was there, and I know that's how they did it, and they worked right to the standards. So it is a whole, it's all about collaboration, it's having trust within, and also being able to be in other people's classrooms and seeing firsthand, and then having trust that you can do it, because they've done it every year. And I think the nerves come in too when our population is changing, and we're getting kids that are more diverse, and we are, but you're still meeting that bar. So
Should I just do everything now?
Do
You want me to just finish with all my questions?
Sure.
Can I just,
Unless someone has something to reflect.
Because mine's kind of related. Can I just, because one of the things that I noticed about culture was there was sort of in the 2 bullets that you had, they were kind of opposite. It's nurturing, but it's stressful.
Yep.
So that, I mean, I was trying to figure out now, how, okay, so how can that be?
Right.
And it doesn't seem like it can persist. Something has to happen when you have two things that are the opposite going. So to me, that was something that kind of really caught my eye and something that needed some attention. I think Tim is right, certainly. You know, I think a lot of these comments are helpful to hear. You know, that maybe the stress is just, you know, you guys, you know what you're doing, or we're, you know, we can show you that it's all working. But in some senses, to me, and this maybe is leaping away from the topic, it seemed to me that there was a very strong teacher voice in all the conclusions, as not necessarily a balance of teacher and parent voice in the conclusions. So just make that comment.
I felt the same way when I read those two statements. I thought one was probably some from parent feedback, whereas the other was the kind of two different topics almost, you know, which is an interesting kind of clash of perspectives. Jamie, did you have something?
I was trying to group them, like I was trying to take all the thoughts and discussions we had and try to put them into themes. And it also depended on what group you were talking to. Because I had a group of teachers I was talking to that maybe weren't classroom teachers that gave me one type of perspective. And then I talked to a group of classroom teachers that gave me a different. So it's interesting, there are two different kinds of dynamics going on too, depending on which group you talk to. So.
Just along the lines, and I'll echo what Tim said about the pressure. I don't necessarily think it's bad either. I think when pressure gets too high and becomes stress, you know, that's when you start to worry about it. But the one thing that I didn't see in here, and Jane, you just mentioned it, was the accountability and where the accountability lies with the associated pressure that we're talking about. Are you finding that the accountability is more with the end result, or is it more with the process to get to that end result? And has there had to be a lot of accountability in this first year?
I feel accountability. What I have to say, the classroom teachers, I think the level of stress is high because they feel they are so accountable for their class, for everything. So even when they say, even if a child is receiving reading instruction through regular ed, or they're receiving whatever, they feel very, they take ownership of every student in their class. And I think the accountability comes from they're their class. And then also at the end, when we're done, let's say if fourth grade MCAS is the culmination of whether or not we've all passed our tests and done right by these kids, the school does it as a whole. Because when they do well, it's a celebration for the whole school. It's not just those fourth grade teachers did their job. It's look what you've done, and it's K to 4. But the classroom teachers, and that's why I said that I think a lot of the stress comes with that, because they feel like these are my kids, I want what's best for them. It's never about the teachers. It's never the teacher saying, I can't have this kid. I had teachers who came to me in the past few days and said to me, do you want me to have a program next year? Do you want me to work with a specific groups of kids? Do you want me whatever? So nobody is avoiding anything, and they'll work with learners that have challenges, and they'll work with learners that are, far exceed our expectations in the current grade level, but they are accountable for every student regardless of who they are, and that's just who they are. And I understand that, and I love that, because years ago, I know when I started teaching, nobody was accountable. They would say, well, that's not my kid, that's yours, because you're working with them. Now the classroom teachers are embracing them. So, and it's been for years, and I think that's great, because they want to do what's in the best interest. So I think there's accountability on all levels, which is great. I don't want people blaming each other, and that's the...
Nor do I. And let me just clarify a little bit from your perspective as the leader of the school. Are you holding teachers accountable for the end result, or are you holding them accountable for the process? I mean, obviously it's a little bit of both.
Right, right.
But where's your focus right now?
I am more focused on being my first year. I'm more focused on the process this year and making sure, and being on the assessment meetings and everything, that as we're going along, that the teachers are being held accountable. I haven't gotten to the end yet. I'm still kind of focused, trying to figure out my end. But I've been focusing on throughout the year and making sure that when I'm seeing in walkthroughs and when I'm seeing in assessment meetings and sitting in team meetings and things like that, or grade level meetings, that as we're going along in the process, that everybody is doing what they should be doing, and that there isn't someone who's not doing their job, and that they are, and I have to say, like I said, in my thank yous to the staff really, they're doing the bulk of the job. They're the ones communicating with parents. They're the ones sitting in these meetings and figuring out ways to help their kids in their classrooms. So I've been more along the lines of the process, and then I'll look at the big picture at the end of the year and then reflect on that to kind of see moving forward for next year.
Great. Jen, thank you for being here this evening. We knew Jane wasn't going to leave the Summer Street School without guaranteeing an excellent start for you and a smooth transition. So I think you got off to a great start because of the way the two of you collaborated. A question about common planning with regard to the frequency and the process.
Common planning for grade levels depends on, they common plan once a week, or they can do common planning once a month, depending. They collaborate. Most of the teams meet weekly on grade level. We meet, special education teams meet every week. We have a common planning time where we talk about, anything, talk about programs, we talk about kids, we talk about upcoming meetings and such. So they do have that opportunity. We've been using the professional development time, the early release days, as opportunities for as much as we can with the other school, with Huckleberry, but we're also using it for time for teachers if they need to work on something specific as a grade level, whether it's the science. So we've done an opportunity, we've worked together with both buildings for science, now we're giving them an opportunity to work per grade level. So the teachers have that chance to do. We don't have common planning time during the day, so there isn't a time where they have the specials all at the same time and such, because teachers wanted to move away from that, and they actually carve out time either before or after school to meet regularly as a team. They have to put it on the calendar in the office, so when they're meeting and what group is meeting and such, and they do that with great frequency. So it might be on the schedule once a week or once a month, but they meet consistently and have great communication. The grade level teams themselves are always pretty much on the same page, and they share a lot of what they do. And if I walk, it was interesting, Jane and I had done walkthroughs, I think in October, so when they were teaching a math lesson, third grade, they all were teaching the same lesson. Within the same, they might have been like, one was 3.1, the other one was 3.2, but they talk about during their planning, by the end of the week, we should have accomplished this. We should, so they're all on the same page and basically teaching within the same time frame.
Thank you. And a question about the assistant to the principal.
Yes.
A little more specifics about that role.
Well, Lori Kelly was the assistant. She was actually appointed assistant to the principal when Dr. Jefferson was here about 2 years ago. So I meet with Lori about once a week. She was the one who spearheaded the instructional rounds process for me. So we implemented that this year. So she organized that. That was like a whole organization thing between taking 16 teachers and organizing the times and the dates and such. She's involved in, because the whole point of the instructional rounds was not to have an administrative piece overseeing it, because the teachers are having discussions about their practice, and they really wanted to do it in a place where they weren't being evaluated by anyone. So the teachers talk among themselves. So Lori's the one who coordinated all that. She came up with all the documents. Melissa Weiland over at Huckleberry helped us with a lot of the documentation and such, and then Lori took everything and kind of made it our own, and then has been running these groups and has been facilitating them. And so I'll use her for various things during the year that I'll say, I need your input on this. If I'm looking at a specialist schedule and such, can you kind of give me ideas on this and bounce a couple of things off of her? So, and I had a conversation with her last week, and I said, I plan on using you next year a little bit more, because this year I was kind of figuring out what I needed to do, and then she took that piece of the instructional rounds as well as a few other things off my plate, and then next year will.
So you're out of the building for a day for professional development. Is she the principal du jour?
Yep, she'll take over.
Same at Huckleberry?
Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Yep, she'll take over. She'll run things. We had something with MCAS that she says, I'll take care of it. I'll tell the 3rd and 4th grade teams, things like that. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of that with the common planning time, with the preschool being, incorporated into your school, and then also on the middle school and the 4th to 5th graders, are there going to be opportunities for the preschool to meet with the kindergarten and the 4th grade to meet with the 5th grade teachers?
We have planned, we were just talking today about how we're having preschool assessment meetings. We're actually having the preschool come to an assessment meeting, I think towards the end of the year. They're coming to do some collaboration with us. So now that they'll be in the building, they will be part of our professional development time. Also, 4th to 5th grade, we do a lot. There's a lot that goes into the transition when the kids are moving from 4th to 5th. The liaisons, so our school psychologists, the special education teachers, any other kids that we're concerned about, we do a lot of coordination with the middle school and with Ricky Shanklin. She's been great about that open door policy and such. The teachers from the middle school come down to the elementary level and they talk with the kids and answer and ask questions. Teachers will come down and observe. And then we haven't had teachers on the 4th to 5th grade level go up yet. We did about 2 years ago because they changed the structure and they made it 3 teacher teams instead. So, but that's something we can look into if we need to. But we do a lot of collaboration. We're actually meeting on Monday, all of the elementary level and the middle school coming together to talk about placement and such. So we do.
Okay.
Oh, and the assessment. Yes, and we have the 4th and 5th grade assessment meeting too, which is a couple of weeks that we go up to the middle, so that we go to the middle school and we have an opportunity to talk with all the teachers at the middle school. So.
And then also the leadership roles, you mentioned technology. Are there other areas that you see, natural leaders kind of showing themselves and areas that you are going to utilize that?
Yes, we have a lot of co-teaching going on next year with some of our programs. So we have teachers that have been doing it for a number of years now. And I had spoken to a few during their evaluations. I said, next year I would love to see you be the one to model for other teachers what co-teaching looks like. Because co-teaching is such a broad term. And people think, oh, I have another person in the room with me and we talk at the same time. And it's so much more than that. So I'd love to use the teacher leaders for the co-teaching part of it. We have some teachers that are using centers in their classrooms, both in 1st grade and the upper levels. And they've really kind of mastered the art of what a center is. So I would love to be able to have teachers. We've done it, we actually did it last year and we did it this year, having teachers come and observe those centers. And it actually was great because now an entire grade level is doing these math centers that someone spearheaded last year. And they bought into it and now the entire grade level is doing it. And they're really great. So I could see teacher leaders for that, for the technology piece. And the technology is big for us because on the elementary level, we are kind of the last, like we just got Wi-Fi a couple months ago. So we're kind of the last in the link of the technology. So believe it or not, I kind of wanted to cut the cord on the technology training. By this time I'm like, we've done the Google Docs and you're doing the evidence grids and linking things, we should be good. But the feedback from the staff is we still need more training on it. So I'll still have to utilize the technology for quite a while, I think. And so there's other areas definitely to use the teacher leaders.
I think you had more.
Yeah, Jen, another theme that I saw was, I think you touched upon you getting more diverse students, and I'm assuming that is culturally as well as academically.
Everything, right.
And then you touched upon, I think you noted more specialist time, and then developing programs for all learners. So when you talk about that, is that target group more based as in SPED students, or is that target group broader? Is it, ABC? Is it your ABC? What is it? And then, do you have the resources to do it, and can you do it within the classroom? And if not, do you envision and Brian, you probably can weigh in on this too. Do you envision a scenario where you would come back to us and say, "This is what I have, but I can't get to the next level without some help"?
Right. When I talk about the diverse, there is the cultural shift, there is the social emotional. That's probably the biggest piece of it. The academic learners, I think we pretty much can handle that. We can handle, special education has been wonderful for students in terms of there's a wealth of programs for kids and supports. The students that are the accelerated learners, what we're starting to do is, for those students that are doing well in reading and math and such, we're actually grouping them into classrooms. We've had the media center specialists take a group of kids and read with them and do a kind of a book club with them each week. So I think we have the capacity there to reach those learners. It's just thinking a little bit differently and a little bit outside the box of how we can reach them. The social emotional piece of it is probably the most challenging. And that's the part that, that's the kind of thing I might reach out in 1 or 2 years and say, you know what, I might need more in that area. The reason being that's such a specialized area that I can help a child, but when I look at the school psychologist that we have on staff now, Jess Sostuni, the way she talks to kids and the way I have to channel my inner Jess when I talk to kids, because I'm thinking, okay, I have to think differently. I can't talk to this child as I would as a parent and say, like, why do you keep hitting him? You got to stop. The way she speaks with kids, the way that she's been trained, her knowledge has been phenomenal this year for kids. And that's the one area that I feel would be I need a little bit more. I have reading specialists. I have staff that's willing to make diverse groups and break things up. I have special education support and people with expertise in areas, but it's more that social and emotional that appears to be the most challenging, because those are things that are outside of school that I can't control but impact the kids in school. So it's almost like that invisible disability where, so.
Karen?
Yeah.
Just to piggyback
Yeah.
off that too, I think it's hard to pinpoint people to address those broader needs. Jen's right that those needs are absolutely prevalent, but I think what we're trying to do is talk about what are the strategies, what are the methodologies that work in terms of meeting those social emotional needs, get that extensive training, and try to build capacity within the district. Because I think that is just so key, as you're talking about the collaboration and communication, to identify what works, utilize our resources that we have to say, all right, I've used this, this, and this different strategy, and it's proven effective, and then invest in more so the exposure and building the knowledge base of all the teachers, because with any, with social emotional needs, they're not just a pocket of time within that student's day all day long, and there has to be that consistency with all of the educators who are working with those children. So I know we've talked a lot about that as well.
Because they interact. It could happen in the lunchroom. Then you have the lunchroom aide there. Then the teacher gets the message. So there's so many players in a child's life that it is that whole that capacity and having that common language and things like that. So
one of our special education programs is at Action House in Huckleberry has really adopted the collaborative problem solving approach and taken that and really run with it throughout the building. I know Melissa's been involved with that as well. And we've gotten some good feedback on that model of building capacity within the buildings and training teachers and having another opportunity to teacher leaders.
Can I just jump in too? Because the teachers are also asking for it, because they're seeing that these are strategies, these are resources that are helping our students. And I forget who we brought in last year, Kara, but it was on one of the professional development days. And we Linda Murphy. Right, thank you. And we trained all the gen ed teachers, and they were ecstatic to have this whole set of tools that now they didn't have to go outside the classroom to find someone to help them, that they had the tools within their own toolbox to help the kids. So that building capacity from within is absolutely, positively key to the success.
And even recently, I think that last, probably November, December, where we had hosted the Zones of Regulation, which is another really successful program for students monitoring their emotional regulation, their sensory needs, and using the certain terminology, getting students to self-identify when they are feeling escalated, and having all of the teachers use common language to help get the students to internalize that and identify it for themselves. So we had a huge turnout at that. It was all across both elementary schools, Summer Street and Huckleberry. General educators were primarily there, and some middle school and high school people too.
I guess that was one question I was going to ask. So the general ed teachers do have some training in it. And then this is my last question on this topic. What is the impact on daily, if you have a social emotional issue in the classroom, is the impact on the classroom, the daily instruction specifically, is it how much of it's compromised? Are you guys, do you have the capacity to address it quickly, diffuse or remove, and then continue on with the daily instruction with minor interruption, or does it derail the classroom for the day or for several hours, or can you make that judgment call?
It depends on the day. Depends. But mostly speaking for my years so far, most behaviors for children are the kind of thing that can be addressed. The teachers do a tremendous amount. They do a tremendous amount of diffusing situations, of getting to the bottom of things, and then they kind of give me the tail end of it and say, I've done all the research, the investigation, everything else. So it doesn't impact the day. It's not every day I'm dealing with a crisis, but when it does happen, it can consume a huge part of the day. that I never even realized. There could be weeks where I could spend 2 to 3 days dealing with a behavior issue, because if there are more than 2 kids involved, I have to make sure that I'm talking to both or researching. And then I also make sure too, because I don't want anyone to work in isolation, if the school psychologist is dealing with something pretty big, I'm involved too. So whatever it ends up being, whether it's a disciplinary action or something we have to file or something, whatever, that, you know, we all have our ducks in a row. But it can impact depending on what it is. And it could be, and it's also those kids that have things going on that you know that are going on, they're not having the outbursts, not having the whatever, but it's impacting their day because they're distracted and they're this and they're that. So it's a whole, it could really be anything depending on the day. But there are things that take a few minutes, and then there are things that take a long time and over a long period of time. And so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thanks, Jen. You've had a
thank
very
you.
busy year, clearly, a lot of meetings. So thank you for coming and sharing all of it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Okay, so we have a few items on the superintendent's report tonight. The first thing that I want to share with you is a list of the colleges that our seniors from Linfield High School have been accepted to so far. So I'll go right down the list, and it's in alphabetical order. We have had acceptances to Assumption, Bowdoin, Bridgewater State, Bryant, Colby-Sawyer, Emerson, Endicott, Fairfield, Fisher, Framingham State, Franklin Pierce, Holy Cross, Merrimack, New England College, Northeastern, Penn State, Plymouth State, Providence, Quinnipiac, Roger Williams, Salem State, Salve Regina, SNHU, Southern New Hampshire University, Stonehill, Suffolk, U-Alabama, UConn, UMaine, UMass Amherst, UMass Dartmouth, UMass Lowell, U New England, U New Haven, UNH, URI, UVM, Wagner, Wentworth, Western New England, Westfield State, and WPI. And Patty Brangiaforti, who is the secretary at the high school, is updating this list as soon as the kids update their Naviance accounts. So I would suspect that from here on out, for the rest of the school committee meetings that we have, I'll be sharing this list with you and updating it with you. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
Any initial, how is guidance feeling about this so far?
I have not had a specific conversation with the guidance counselors about this, but in terms of how the end of the year is going, in terms of kids getting their applications, you know, the process, getting them in, getting them back, guidance feels like it's been a smooth year in that sense. Anything else on that? Okay, so just to update you a little bit on, we had some conversation when Kevin Sear was presenting the student handbook at the high school in terms of the fields and in terms of making sure that our fields are actually kept to the pristine quality that we want them to be kept to, given the investment that the town has made in them. And I had a conversation with Andy Lafferty this past week, and I happened to have seen 3 or 4 signs on his desk, and I said, what are those? And he said, that's the signage that we're thinking about putting up on the fields. And he had 3 or 4 different templates, and I think the ones that they're going to go with, I was really happy with them. There was not a lot of verbiage on the signs. It was more one of those do not signs with the red circles with the X through it or the line through it, yes. And then just saying things like the things that we had talked about, sports drinks, no gum chewing, no soft drinks, no coffee, no water. So he is working with DPW now to make sure that we have ample signage up on the field. So I thought that you might want an update on that. And I want to give you a little update on the athletic department. And this is coming from one of the things that I'm doing at the end of this year is I am meeting one-on-one with any new employee to Linfield Public Schools just to kind of get their lens of their first year in review. One of the conversations that I had with one of the teachers who's brand new to the teaching profession today, with us, the conversation I had with her today was, I said to her, when you came to us, similar to the conversation, Tim, that we had had with Jen about the pressure, when you came to us, I told you that you would never work harder, and I told you that it would take a lot of determination and grit again to be successful here, but I told you that the rewards would be many. And so, talk to me a little bit about your first year experience. And one of the things that I've been so happy about with those conversations is that, hands down, the teachers have said that they've never worked in a place where the expectations are higher, and they've never felt more rewarded for the work that they're doing. And they also said, which speaks to a little bit about the culture in the buildings, is that the teachers in the buildings are going out of their ways to really mentor them and help them and shadow them. And so I'm probably in the middle of those conversations right now. I'm halfway through them. But I think that they're important. And I'm also asking for feedback in terms of in terms of your first year, what could administration do more for you? What could we do more for you? And so the conversations have really been, I think that they've been very productive. And I had a conversation with Mike Bearworth yesterday, being his first year as the athletic director. And another question I asked is, what are you looking forward to next year? What are your plans for next year? And the two things that he shared with me, he's working very hard right now in the student athletic handbook. It really is not 100% up to date to where it needs to be, and it's not specific to our high school, to Linfield High School. So he is working diligently on that, and he is planning to have that ready to be rolled out in the fall for the fall athletes. And the other thing that he said that he would like to do, and these are just two little sound bites of what he said. The other thing that he said that he would like to do is before each of the seasons have a meeting for all of the athletes and all of their parents or guardians, where he would open up an assembly, if you will, talking about the athletics at Linfield High School, giving overall big brush strokes about expectations and what it means to be an athlete at Linfield High School. And then as a break off of that meeting, all of the athletes and the parents would then sit with the individual coaches so that the coaches could also talk to the athletes and the parents at the same time to say, this is what the expectations are if you are going to be on the girls soccer team, or this is what the expectations are. These are the non-negotiables around practice and around showing up on time and that sort of thing. So I was really pleased to hear that. So any thoughts on that?
Sounds good.
No. Yeah, I was very happy about that. And we are continuing to, with the budget that was passed at town meeting, we are continuing to work on getting an integration technology specialist. I thought I was going to be ready to announce that person today, but every T is not crossed and every I is not dotted, so stay tuned. It will be at the next meeting. And I want to give you an update on my entry plan and the work that I've been doing with the new superintendent induction program. I will thank you again for the opportunity to take part in this program, because I feel that it has really given me the professional development that I need to be successful in this position. I have an opportunity to work with some phenomenal retired superintendents who are working in the program, Joan Conley being one of them as my mentor. And it's also afforded me the opportunity to meet a lot of new superintendents across the state that I have been able to form relationships with and have our own sort of little cohort of support group on the side. So that's been nice. One of the big things we talked about last week is strategy. And so when we talk about the strategy, I will be forming and formulating a strategy to bring forward to you. And I want to tell you where I am in that process. I am continuing to meet with the stakeholder groups to really verify my findings in the entry plan. And those meetings, I think, will pretty much be done by the beginning of June. And then the work really begins of rolling up my sleeves and working with the administrative leadership team and really thinking about what is our strategy going to be for our district and how are we going to move that forward. And the strategies and the goals will all be based on all of the information that I have gathered through the entry process, and it's all for one main goal, which is to improve us as a district. And so I think it's important to really distinguish and to know and understand that when we talk about strategies and we talk about goals, it's not about maintaining and it's not about status quo. It is really about specific, critical points where there is an expectation that we will get better. And so that's what the strategy will be. And so my plan is to start doing some drafts on that at the end of June and throughout the summer. Actually, through June and throughout the summer, share with you some of those drafts as we go along, just to make sure you need to approve this, you need to vote on this, so to make sure that we're on the same page and we're going in the same direction. And then my plan would be to have the final version of that ready for our first school committee meeting in September, and I think that would be a great way to kick off our school year with the first school committee meeting, making sure that we have that vision. And that's the other thing that the strategy and the goals will do, is really define what is our vision, to get everyone on the same page with that vision, and to make sure that everybody who is invested in our educational system in Lynnfield knows and understands this is our pathway, this is where we go, where we're going, this is why we're going there, this is how we're going to get there, and then the budget process in the fall will support all of that. So does that make sense to everybody, and does anyone have any questions or thoughts on that?
I feel like you read my mind.
Did you? Did I? Let's go, Dorothy.
Because I had been thinking lately that, you've given us a lot of sort of updates. I've been talking to stakeholders, I've been getting input, but not really talking about what it was. And I felt like I was hoping along the way that we would get sort of what you were thinking and how you were headed, so that it didn't come to us like you had the entry plan, we knew you were working on it, and then we saw your plan. Because I have seen committees say, where was our input into this, and where did this come from, and sorry you did all that work, but we're going to tear it apart, which I don't think anybody wants to happen.
Right.
So I think that what you outlined in sort of when you get to the draft, sort of being able to talk to us about it is terrific.
Thank you. And so the first thing that you'll probably see will be what the big, bolder picture items are. And then we'll talk about that. And because if we don't all have consensus on that, there's no sense in me doing all the work that goes underneath that, right? So, and that obviously is important. And Dorothy, trust me, I do not want to do all the work on this and then just have it nixate in September. That would probably not be good for any of us. So I'm glad. But I will tell you, so the importance of that new superintendent induction program is just that, right? So to plant those seeds for me and to really wrap my head around this and to figure out where I'm going with this. And last Wednesday's meeting was really an aha moment for me to say this is the next thing. And so I really do need to update the school committee and tell them what's going on with that. So I was really excited to share this with you. So I'm glad that you were thinking the same thing.
Jane, when do you foresee us discussing school improvement plans?
I see you discussing them in the fall. So one of the things that we had talked about in August and at other points during the school year, in fact, in one of my superintendent's report, is that typically we do the school improvement plans in May. But if you remember back to my entry plan, when I gave you that the visual of the diagram in the back, everything's got to relate back to those big goals. And so it will be the big goals and strategies, my goals and strategies, the principal's goals and strategies. It will be the school improvement plans. It will be the budget that will support all of that. And in there also will be the teachers' goals and strategies. And so the importance of that is we're all working in the same direction with the same vision and the same language. So when I was the principal of Summer Street School, it was very, very important to me that the teachers in that school knew exactly what was on the school improvement plan, because then we're all in it for the same reasons. And so as the superintendent, it's really important to me, I would hope that by the time this document is finalized and the school committee votes on it, I would hope that I would be able to walk into any school and talk to any teacher and say, what is it that we're working on? I want them that invested in this, because in my opinion, that's the only way we're going to go from here to here, is to have a focused, shared vision. And that school improvement plan is absolutely, positively part of that, without a question of doubt. And the other thing school improvement plans have to be is that they have to be very genuine and very authentic, and they have to be very outlined in terms of, this is what I'm doing, this is why we're doing it, this is when we're doing it, this is how we're doing it, and this is how it's going to be measured. Make sense?
Jean, on that, on Jamie's question, just to follow up, is going forward, so this year you're pushing it out until September, right?
Right.
To do your goals. Dorothy, doesn't the school improvement plan have to be adopted prior to the beginning of the next school year?
No.
No?
No, the timing is up to the district.
Okay. So my only concern with this year, I understand it because of the transition, but next year, I would think we'd want to go into the summer identifying and linking everything back, correct?
We would
Because in the
probably go
past, I
back
think we
to
always did school
May.
improvement plan, yeah.
We'll
in
go back
May.
to the May timeline.
Yeah.
And so everything will be planned in May for the next school year.
Okay. So
Make
this year will
sense?
be the exception.
This year is the exception,
Gotcha.
because it really didn't make any sense to have the principals do all that work
Right.
and then not have that direct correlation.
Understood. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But I will guarantee you, if you were to put Brian or Jen on the spot right now and said, what are you thinking about? Please don't do this, but what are you thinking about? In terms of, every principal has ideas of what they're thinking.
Sure.
So it's not like they're going to wait until August 30th. And
Right.
it's also going to be part of our superintendent's retreat over the summer too. Because
And I would also be shocked if they were thinking about something that was so far out
Me too.
that it didn't.
Exactly.
Is school improvement plan driven by school council? Is that how that?
School council has a huge part in the
Okay.
school improvement, which is also going to be a challenge for the administrators, and we talked about that,
Yeah.
is getting the input and getting the feedback over the summer months, but we're just going to have to figure that out.
Okay.
So anything else on the NSIP or, okay, all right, so I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I'm actually really proud of for our high school art department, but I need to back up a little bit. Grace Colbert, and Dorothy, please feel free to jump in on this. What? Do you have it?
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Oh, awesome.
We have many copies.
Okay, yes, so
Pass the bunch down.
Grace Colbert, who is a student, a senior at our high school, designed the cover of what you're looking at for MASC. And I think she did an outstanding job. She is an amazing, amazing artist. And as a result of that, Dorothy invited myself, her teacher Laura Johnson, and Grace to a day on the Hill. And I have to say, I was really proud of Grace, and I was really proud of the work that Laura had done with Grace. And for them to be recognized on this day, I thought it was really quite special. Grace is she's a pretty talented artist. And so in my conversations with Laura Johnson, who is the art teacher at the high school, she had said that this year they are sending 2 student artists to Art Allstate. And the 2 student artists this year are Sydney Nikorosky and Serena Albach. And Laura really went out of her way to tell me that this is quite unusual to have 2 signature artists out of a high school that is as small as we are, but that it was really a testimony to their written applications, their interview skills, and that she was really proud of the fact that we had 2 artists that got accepted into this program. Grace Colbert, who is the designer of this, was the recipient last year. So I just want to share that little bit of information. And Laura Johnson also said that she is, this year, for the very first time, they're doing a Linfield High School Art Alumni Day. And so this is 6 of our alum are coming back who have had jobs in the art field, and they're coming back to talk to the art classes about what it's like to really be in the architecture field or the industrial design field or the fashion field and what it really takes to get there and to make it and be successful. So I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that that was pretty exciting. Any thoughts on that?
I think it sounds great. I hope the art department sets the sets the bar that perhaps there's the math and the science and perhaps a few other subjects that have alumni days.
I think that that's a great idea, Dorothy. You may be seeing that in the future, maybe. I don't know, perhaps. So the last item that I want to share with you, I want to give you an update on a Merrimack Fellowship Program. So many of you may know and remember that we've had a relationship with the graduate school at Merrimack College since the fall of 2011, where we first started with 2 fellowship students who were from Merrimack that were working at Summer Street School, and the program has grown. So this year we actually have 11 fellowship students coming in, and I'll explain that in 1 minute, what the program actually is. We have 3 of our fellowship students coming to Summer Street School, we have 5 coming to Linfield Middle School, and we have 3 coming to Linfield High School. This is the first year that we had fellow students at Linfield Middle School, and next year will be the first year that we'll have them at the high school. I am super excited about this program for a million reasons. We actually bring the fellowship programs in, and then we pay Merrimack. It is a 1-year graduate program, and we pay Merrimack for them to attend graduate school, and they work for us every day, all day, while we're in session. And so they are not additions to our staff. They are not an additional expense for us. What we've done is the areas that we need paraprofessionals in, we have traded that paraprofessional position for a fellowship position. And let me tell you why that's important. Because the fellowship students all have undergraduates. They have bachelor's degrees, most of them in education, some of them in social work, some of them in something different, their career changes, but they're all highly educated students who are going into the field of education, and they are really all in. And I think that the administrators who are here tonight would speak to the fact that it's a great group of students generally. We've actually hired a whole handful of these Merrimack Fellowship students to be part of our permanent faculty after they've graduated. So that's the other thing. We get a whole year to really watch them and watch them closely. What do they do when the pressure's on? What do they do when they don't know how to access the resources for students? And so I just think that this is a great program for us to stay involved in and to really bring some high quality paraprofessionals, if you will, into our buildings to work with our students. So any questions on that?
It's good.
Okay.
Excellent.
I just have 2 questions that aren't related to any of these things.
Oh, sure.
One is about the transition of the preschool.
Mm-hmm.
What's the impact? I had a couple parents just ask, what's the impact on summer school? Because wasn't summer school always done at the preschool?
So we are in the process of finalizing our summer schedule this year, so we had to take into account the move. So we secured locations at Huckleberry Hill and the high school as we have in years past. So I don't anticipate any issues. I had had some previous complaints about the preschool, and the elementary is more, it's pretty accessible for everybody. So we'll have our preschool and elementary tutorial extensions of our programs at Huckleberry Hill, and then middle and high school will be more so at the high school.
That's great. And then the other is more a request for the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
U.S. News and World Report rankings came out today.
Mm-hmm.
It was all over social media. I know, so Linfield was not ranked. It was not unranked. It was just not ranked. So I have not dove into the methodology or anything associated with that. But I know last year we talked a lot about 499th in the country and state rankings. So if we can just have a little bit of a discussion or get some insights into that at the next meeting, I think it'd be great.
So get insights into
what goes into that ranking, what we see goes into that ranking, and why we went from being ranked one year to not being ranked the next year.
I know one time in the past, it just somehow, it gets overlooked for some reason. And once we notified them, we got ranked.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's more.
Is it,
Dorothy's comment kind of leads you down the path of how you get there.
okay.
Interesting. Okay. All right, public participation. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to matters of action, which there are none for this evening. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much.